warm welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. I am going to introduce you to a filmmaker who's about to debut his documentary at Earth, a Culture Festival. This is going to air at this festival on 9th. And before we talk about it, I want to give you a quick a brief summary about Nikhil Singh Rajput, whichever way you think about it. I mean, he is known for in both ways. He is a graduate in textile engineering from IIT Delhi. He graduated in 2007, and then he went on to do masters in filmmaking.
No, I was doing a filmmaking summer course. Actually.
Summer course. So you went to University of Southern California in LA. By the way, that is like it's like a stone's throw from Hollywood. Although UCLA is probably closer because it is in Bel Air, very close to Bel Air. But between UCLA and USC, you got Hollywood covered.
Yes,
right.
90%.
90%, right.
The rest 10% is NYU.
And so he has done what I would call as a proper grounding in filmmaking.
Yes.
And he has a directorial debut. The name of the movie was called With Love, Delhi, and it featured Tom Alter, who is no longer with us. Tom, rest in peace. And Nikhil, welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you, sir. The privilege is all mine.
So, I ran into Nikhil just a few hours ago, and I knew I was going to watch this movie. I don't want to, spoil the surprise. I would like you to tell the viewers what is this movie about. And by the way, guys, Nikhil is from Bihar, and in my personal opinion, Biharis are one of the smartest and the most hardworking people that I have ever come across. Every friend of mine who's been from Bihar has been just off the charts. I mean, they've had some really tough luck in terms of taking knocks very early on in life, and then they rose from that to go way above. Nikhil, welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you, sir. What a great introduction of Biharis. Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about your movie.
Yeah.
Now, you have dealt with many genres.
Yeah.
And how did you strike upon this one? And what is it about?
So how did I strike upon this one is rather interesting. So the last docu that I did it because I read an article. I was in Nepal, I was working on a Bollywood script. I read an article, it was about Ahmadi refugees, and I thought I should do something about it. Next thing I know, 1 year of my life went into it. And the documentary was fairly successful. It went to 14 international festivals, 4 of them in India, all of them outside. But doing that, I figured out that this is not something that is going to go to the Sundances and the Berlin film festivals of the world, which are really there. And so I was also looking at something which A, has a global appeal, and B, which is uniquely Indian. Now, when we do a subject, it's that classic line, love something that will kill you. So when you're picking a subject, it has to be that, because A, it will take longer than you know.
Right.
B, filmmakers are always broke, documentary filmmakers more so.
Right.
But this one has made me a bankrupt. Right. So, borrowed money from friends and everything. The reason is,
you're in good company.
Yeah.
I can speak from PGurus experience.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So did not want to take any institutional funding or any funding of any kind, because in a documentary they kind of have their opinion.
Right.
And I want no other opinion but mine. I'm very certain about that. So I was looking at a few subjects, and I was looking at IPP for 6 months before deciding to give my life, because it's very easy to be misled on Twitter.
IPP is India Pride Project. Please
Yes.
continue.
Yes. Yeah. So India Pride Project was doing stellar work, and I was following them ever since the Australian government gave us the Nareshwar and Nataraja. And I was following them for good 6-7 months. And then I decided that yes, these guys are genuinely doing good work, and B, it's a subject that everybody in India, whether you see these antiquities as a national heritage, which is a left-wing way of thinking, or whether you see it as Murtis and hence of significant religious value. No matter how you look at it, you have a skin in the game.
Yes.
You care for them.
Yes.
So it fit in perfectly with both my brains, the right and the left, the emotional and the intellect. And I thought that these guys were the protagonist of my story. So before approaching them, I did 6 months of observing them quietly. And then I took it forward.
Wow. And guys, I'm sure you're going to watch the interview with Anurag Saxena of mine. And I have, again, same thing. I've been following Anurag for close to 2 years now, off and on. Today was the first time I met him. And like you, I got fascinated by the work because I know the donkey's work that you need to put into these things to convince museums across the world, hey, you're sitting on stolen art and it behooves you to send it back. Yeah. And not only that, closing the loop, connecting the dots, getting the Indian government in the process. Remember that India does not have a minister for this kind of stuff. Anybody you ask, they say it's not in my backyard. So nobody wants to take up how do you bring back, artifacts back to the country.
It is nobody's responsibility,
exactly.
Quote unquote.
Right, nobody's responsibility. And I have also been at various consulates, and I see the Indian consular officers. Their rubber band is stretched like you wouldn't believe how much. They are extremely overworked. So I can't blame them for saying that, oh, I don't want to take up something that is beyond what I have already got on my plate. So it's been a 6 months love of labor.
No, it was 6 months before I even started the process.
Oh, wow.
So 6 months in documentary filmmaking is nothing. So this is, I've been actively shooting for good 2018.
I see.
So I did my research, then met Anurag, went to Singapore, and did the whole thing. And then I was shooting till January middle.
I see.
And then Anurag told me that this is a festival Earth and you should premiere your film there. And from that day, which is January 20th, I've been slogging to get the film ready, and day after tomorrow is the screening, and I've just finished it today 5 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
So 20th January to 6th of February is a non-stop 24-hour work.
So what little of filmmaking I know, I will share with you. There are 4 parts to a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You could be wrong about it. There is the writing of the script, then there is the editing, then there is the direction, and there is the action. Right? Now, if you look at who gets paid the most, the guy who does the least amount of work gets paid the most, because that is the face of the whole movie. But the guy who does the most amount of work is the guy who writes it. So in these 4 aspects, from what I am hearing from you, you definitely did direction. You also did editing, right?
Yeah.
And what about the script?
No, so in a documentary film, the script is the research.
Okay.
And the other critical factor of it is how do you approach someone for them to open up to you.
Right.
So you definitely need to build a connection.
Correct.
So I think Anurag helped me there. I do have an editor on board, otherwise it would be impossible. But so I am doing, as a filmmaker, especially in a documentary, so I've shot probably 60-70% of the movie. Thanks to my film education, I know how to do it. I can edit it, I do edit it. So what happens is me and the editor take turns at doing it.
Okay.
So he does most of the stuff, and then he has to pull back, and then I have to do it, give him my notes, and then he sleeps, and then I edit, and then I sleep and he edits.
I see. So for viewers, editing is that grip, right? Holding the grip of the audience in terms of storytelling. What exactly is it?
I'll give you a better example. Editing a film.
I always start with a dumb question, because otherwise how else will the viewers know the extent of any work?
So I'll give you a great example. Editing a film, whether 25 minutes or 60 minutes or what have you, editing a film is like building a house of cards, because it has so many moving parts. And the moment you want to change something, you have to redo the major bits of it. So editing is very, very complicated if you want to do it right. If you want to do it world standard, it takes like 20 days, 24 hours, or if not 24 hours, at least a 16-18 hours job every day, without fail, 2 people. And we have edited that. For me personally, on another project, I've edited for 48 hours straight.
Wow.
This is the kind of process demand, and truly. And this is not unique to me. I mean, all the major filmmakers who who are really there. If you want to be world class, this is what you need to do.
So, what are you looking for when you're doing editing? What is your, excuse me, your mindset? What exactly is going on in your mind?
So, I'll leave the technical aside. Strictly from a storytelling perspective, we have, in a documentary, people speak on all kinds of issues, like we're talking now.
Right.
I'm sure you had few questions, but I'm speaking something else.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that's true with every person you are interviewing. That would mean I wanted to interview a person on 2 issues, but the person has probably spoken of 6. Multiply it to 6 other people. So I have 36 things to use in a film where I wanted to use just 4. So you see the problem now.
Right.
And so the first thing that we deal with is A, how to keep it engaging. B, to keep it engaging and also informative. And the third and the most important bit, which is where you make it world class, is how do you make it emotional. So if you just, like I'm talking about my film, this is all information. The other person, on the viewer here, will not be emotionally attached to my film.
Right.
But when they see the film, that is my primary job. Other than these jobs, now not only do I have to give them an information which they don't otherwise get, which is unique to the film, but also engage them. What we say in Hindi, dabar janam bhutti nahi pilana. So it's not just information. So information with emotions. That's the sweet spot, and that is why it takes time. So if the confirmation and the acid test and the preliminary test. So the preliminary test is the information, the acid test is the emotion. So if the emotion isn't right, it doesn't work. So it goes out.
Wow. So just look a little bit about technology part. So this movie shot in what resolution?
4K and 2K both.
I see.
The reason is there are places where you don't want to go with a big gear because you always want to be the small guy. So if you put in a huge camera here and put a makeup and I would certainly be overwhelmed. And this is true because most people who get featured in documentaries are not actors.
Correct.
So you don't want to scare them. You don't want to tell them that this is something big. You don't want to tell them this is going to be world class. You just say, sir, this is a small documentary. Nobody will say it. Don't. Because we want them to open up. So we need smaller cameras. So 2K resolution looks like DSLR, shoots amazing stuff, especially in the right hands. It's not about the camera, but the person.
Yes.
So we did that. We've also used cell phone footages because, of course, you cannot go to a MoMA, which is Metropolitan Museum of New York, and then go all guns blazing. Okay, I'm from India. This is the camera. None of that. So cell phones. So all those things.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. In fact, you are having such disparate sources that makes it all the more harder. Because when you're telling the story, if you can't have a radical departure in terms of viewing, and many people don't realize this. Now we are seeing the eye is far more sensitive to light than your ear. I mean, your ears after 3K, 4K, 4 kilohertz, you can't hear much, so you don't miss much. Whereas the eye is so darn sensitive. At 1080p to 4K, there is a lot more that the eye can appreciate. So I don't know where we are going to stop, but at least technology-wise, I mean, there is so much richness that comes in.
And the challenge as well.
Yes.
Because certainly, now people will no longer forgive you for bad or mediocre looking footage.
Yes.
Because they're used to watching high quality, high production value things.
Right.
So we have to compete with that.
Yeah, actually I'm atoning for a lot of bad audio recordings of PGurus, and I'm hoping that this series will come out well because we have done our homework. Of course, we still had a shoestring budget, but our strings have become longer. That much I can tell you. And I hope viewers like this conversation. So Nikhil, all the best with your venture.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm hoping that you'll have many more such hits.
Thank you.